a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Deus Ex Media.
OMG demigods! It's Editing Charlie here for a special announcement. We are adding a special member to the Deus Ex Media family. Josh from Super Scary. So happy to have you on the network now. So we now have another movie podcast on the network again. And Josh covers superheroes and sci-fi and horror movies. So get ready for that stuff. I was on a recent episode talking about Scooby-Doo. Go check him out.
Do you love to be super scared? Do you enjoy listening to hilarious hot takes on timeless classics? Well, fear not, listeners. I'm here! Welcome to the Super Scary Podcast, where we cover everything from the supernatural to the superpowered. I'm your host, Josh, a scaredy cat nerd who enjoys superhero, sci-fi, and horror movies way too much. Whether I'm processing my trauma from Texas Chainsaw Massacre or reminiscing on the nostalgia of Hocus Pocus, my guests and I have a hilarious time going through our favorite and sometimes not so favorite moments. I'm your friend till the end, listeners, because everyone's entitled to one super scary podcast. We post weekly episodes on Mondays, and you can find us at Super Scary Podcast on all the socials. See you in the afterlife, listeners.
The man on the porch had a normal head, which was a relief. His face was weathered and brown from years in the sun. He had slick, black hair and a black pencil mustache like villains have in old movies. He smiled at us, but the smile wasn't friendly, more amused, like, oh boy, more people to torture. I didn't ponder that very long, though, because then I noticed his body. Or bodies. He had 3 of them. Now you think I would have gotten used to weird anatomy after Janice and Briare's, but this guy was 3 complete people. His neck connected to the middle chest like normal, but he had 2 more chests, one on either side, connected at the shoulders, with a few inches in between. His left arm grew out of his left chest, and the same on the right. So we had 2 arms, but 4 armpits? If that makes any sense. The chests all connected into one enormous torso, with 2 regular but very beefy legs, and he wore the most oversized pair of Levi's I'd ever seen. His chest each wore a different color Western shirt, green, yellow, red, like a stoplight. I wondered how he dressed the middle chest, since it had no arms. Welcome to Of the Eldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as our godly parent.
I'm Ray from Cabin 12.
And I'm Charlie from Cabin 13.
And I'm Emily from Cabin 10.
Yay! Hi, Emily!
Our first Aphrodite kid.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited to have you here. We've just been, shooting the shit for a bit now, and you're great.
Thanks. You're great, too. Both
yeah.
great.
You were debating for a long time about your cabin. Do you want to tell the people a little bit about?
Do you want to share your backstory?
Some reasoning?
I don't know. I just feel like, you don't want to pick Athena because that's, I feel like most of us growing up, that's who, at least for me, I can tell you that, as a probably neurodivergent girl growing up, I identified hard with Annabeth a lot.
As you do, yeah.
And just she, so you're like, of course, I'm a child of Athena. I'm smart. And then you grow up a little more and you do some introspection and you're like, there are other options. I landed on Aphrodite because I feel like I do like the aesthetics. I'm a big fan. I feel like I don't know. I like fashion. I like art. But that doesn't make me less of a nerd. It just means I'm a nerd for fashion.
It just means you're a good-looking nerd. Like,
I'm just like so hot. That's the real deciding factor here.
Exactly.
So,
well, also, since you are a new guest, we'd like to let you introduce yourself to our listeners. Give us your pronouns, a little bit about you, and how you got into the series.
Ooh. Well, my pronouns are she, her, or she, her, hers, and I am a co-host on another Percy Jackson podcast called Monster Donut. My co-host Phoebe and I break down the series. We do like kind of a literary type analysis of one book at a time and the short stories that we're doing in roughly chronological order. We just put out our episode on The Last Olympian, which is very exciting. So we're moving on to the next series soon. And I am the classic scholar-ish half of it. I say ish because I have a bachelor's in Greek and Latin, which, like, I'm not going to say was entirely Rick Riordan's fault, but was kind of Rick Riordan's fault. And
you can blame him. Do it.
The thing is, I was super into Greek mythology before Percy Jackson, and then the books came out, because basically I got into the books when I was in middle school. I think I'm approximately the same age as Percy in these books. Like, I'm pretty sure, or it might be like off by a year, so the series was coming out when I was in middle school, and I remember very distinctly that, I think one of the reasons why I got into it was that Rick Riordan came to my town to do a book event when I was in 8th grade, which, fun fact, a year and a half later, wrote my hometown into The Last Olympian, because I'm from Westport, Connecticut. Which means that Rick came to my hometown and was like, yeah, this is where my villain's from.
Yeah, I remember, I did just listen to the Last Olympian episode, so I loved that rant. We're just gonna talk about Westport, Connecticut for like 20 minutes.
The thing is, okay, like, can you imagine being a kid? I want you to imagine being in 8th grade. The last book of your favorite book series comes out, you're reading it, and all of a sudden your hometown's in it, and you're not, like, from New York City, you're from Westport, Connecticut. Like, I lost my damn mind.
That's beautiful.
Luke is your next door neighbor.
Didn't you know? Here's the thing, okay, also, I lost my damn mind because my house has a green door and is colonial style, and is light gray, and I was like, Bro.
You're Luke.
Bro. Is this my house? I'm not near the highway, though. That was the one thing. And it's light gray. It doesn't look white, but, like, we can pretend.
Say, you literally, like, said in the Discord, like, oh yeah, we went on a field trip, to find Luke's house. Like, why didn't you just, like, take a picture in front of your house? Be like,
well, safety reasons, but
yeah.
No, there's a TikTok coming. We filmed a montage. It's great.
Nice.
So a lot of colonial houses in our town. So we're trying to find one that fit the description. Didn't quite work, but it was a good use of the afternoon.
That's amazing.
Oh my god. But yeah, like, amazing. 10 out of 10. Luke should be from Westport. We make an excellent case for how I think that factors into his psyche in our podcast, but, like, it tracks.
Oh yeah. I was buying into it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I'm supposed to say. Oh yeah, that's it. I got into the series through being obsessed with Greek mythology and loving to read, and yeah.
I love it. 10 out of 10. Beautiful. Having someone on who's even more of a classics nerd than me. Oh no, I'm scared.
This just means we're gonna have the best conversation ever. I hope you're ready.
I hope.
Did I hear one of you say you've been to Greece? Am I misremembering that?
Yeah, I went to Greece. I wore my Camp Athlete shirt, took a picture in front of the Parthenon.
Incredible.
Because of course.
What did you go for?
I just went for a graduation trip. Like, that was my thing. Okay. I don't know if I've told this story in the podcast, but I swear to God, Rick was at the airport the day that I left. I swear to fucking God.
Wait, the airport.
Like,
okay, no.
like,
it could be at the airport.
like Logan Airport in Boston. Because he does live here.
I'm sure. Oh my God, that's
Like-
amazing.
Like, I swear that he, like, passed by. I'm just like, is that Rick Riordan? I got my book right here. Like, do I want to bother that man?
Well, here's
No,
the question.
no, that can't be him.
Which book did you bring with you to Greece?
Lightning Thief, obviously.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm like one of those people who's like, the first book is my favorite. It brings me home, like back to the feeling of everything again. So
That makes sense. It's a great book.
yeah.
Because I'm asking because also, so I studied abroad in Athens, so I spent like 5 months there. And
Oh,
Phoebe
yeah.
studied abroad in Rome, and she came to visit me, and she brought, I think, Mark of Athena with her.
I mean, that also makes so much sense.
And I took her on a little tour. We'll probably tell this story on our podcast. I brought her to like the Parthenon, and I'm like explaining all the history stuff, and the whole time she wasn't even listening. She was just looking around for like where.
Same. I mean, yeah. No spoilers or anything, but like,
She's looking around for where something happens.
where things happen,
something
things happen in
happens.
Greece. It's fine.
They have a fun field trip to the Parthenon. Because like Annabeth's always wanted.
God, now I want to go again.
God.
Same.
I
Well-
still have like a little tiny snow globe that says Athens. It has the Parthenon. I'd keep that on my Rick Riordan shelf. So
I've been to the one in Tennessee. That's all that I can add to this.
I've also been there.
I have not been there. That
The
one's
one that was in the
probably more.
movie.
I mean, that one's definitely more tripped out than the one on the Acropolis. They because they fully reconstructed it, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And they got a bunch of stuff in there too. It's very cool.
So they have a Pan-Athenic festival there. They should. It's so fun. It's like
Alright.
the procession.
We're gonna nerd out for like so long here.
I don't think you understand. Like when I said I'm into Minoan stuff, also like I don't think you like. I have a tattoo of it. Like
Oh God.
I drink the Bronze Age conspiracy theory Kool-Aid. Like it's fine.
If you consent, I would love like a picture of that. I will post it on the Instagram. That'd be cool. I want to see what that is.
It's on my back, so I can't really
Yeah,
show ya. But I'll find a good pic.
that sounds cool. Okay, so what was this chapter about, Ray? Since you read it like right before this.
Red is a strong word, but I'll admit it to all of you, my best friends who are listening to this podcast. Just to you guys. Keep it a secret, though. I may have forgotten we were recording today. So
It's fine. It's
Let's see
totally
if-
fine.
let's see if I even know what happened in this chapter. So we visit the Demon Dude Ranch. We get the western side of Rick Riordan's wonderful world of Greek mythology in the Americas. Anyways, so some things. Brary leaves the party, and Tyson is very sad about it, which is a crime. And then Percy has a cool dream, and Icarus happens. You know Icarus.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. But yeah, you guys know. Anyways.
Yeah, there was a great Bastille song about that.
Right, exactly. We come up to a new exit to the labyrinth, which has a cattle grate, which aggravates Grover very much. And we end up with the western side of people, which includes a two-headed dog, which, very good. And then we meet up with Nico. He's very not happy to see us. We're happy to see him, though.
Is he ever happy to see us? Like,
No, never.
We'll forever
all the
be happy to
happiness
see
is
this
gone out of
angry
him.
boy.
I mean, he's been through a lot, He's having a hard time.
Our ranch guy, who raises all kinds of creatures for gods and whatnot, you know him. He has 3 bodies, and also he's really suspicious. And it turns out that yes, he was suspicious, and he's planning to sell Nico to Luke, which is not very cool of him. And Percy has to make one of the classic demigod deals. He agrees to clean this guy's really gross ass stable if he will agree to release everybody. If Percy successfully succeeds on this task, and that's our setup. Congratulations.
it's like a lot. Like, you can say that there's nothing that happens in the chapter, but it's also like a lot that happens in the chapter. I don't know, it was like 25 pages. It was so long.
There's some good stuff in there. It's just a lot of like getting from point A to point B.
True,
I feel like, you know, like we're kind of setting it up. You know, we're setting up the big event of this kind of like arc of the labyrinth. Yeah.
God.
One of the best chapters in this entire series. Yeah.
This is a set piece that was like burned into my brain as a child. I was like, oh yeah, the ranch.
Oh yeah, right. Does this chapter get your approval of oh yes, this is something that happened?
Yeah, this is something that I remember having read these books.
Wow, that's amazing. The more I read these books, the more I realize how much I remember like certain scenes very strongly and the rest no.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
It's the little details, the very little details that I don't remember anymore, but everything else I'm like, yeah, I know that, but I also read them like 10 times, at least. I read them like every couple months.
And see, I probably reread the first couple books more frequently than the other ones. Like, I think that Labyrinth and the last one are the ones that I'm least familiar with. So this is interesting. But like I said, a lot of the set pieces in Labyrinth are very strong and left an impression on me.
I think Labyrinth's my favorite book.
Aw, fun.
Of the ones I've read so far. But I'm pretty sure it's my favorite book. Period.
I love that.
I don't know.
It's a good
Phoebe
one.
talks very highly of the last two Trials of Apollo books, though, so we'll see. We'll see. I haven't read those two yet.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. Well, before we dive very deeply into the chapter, we gotta do the thing, bro. In case you missed it,
But
we gotta talk. We gotta talk about Icarus. Finally,
woo, my boy.
Your boy.
I mean, kinda. He's classic. Everybody likes Icarus. How could you not like Icarus?
I mean,
I don't know.
I like the story. I don't know if I like Icarus.
Somehow he feels more pop culturally relevant, where he feels more like a character than like than a lot of other. I don't know. Maybe I'm just conflating him with Pitt from Kid Icarus and how much I like him.
You still have to tell me about like Kid Icarus.
Yeah, that's gonna be on our bonus show. It's gonna slap. I love that game.
It is.
The only thing I know about that game wasn't he in Super Smash Bros?
He is, yes.
Is that what okay, that's all I know about him. But now that you're saying that, I'm picturing him and I'm like, oh!
Yeah, he's a little guy. I love him.
Nothing to do with anything.
No,
like
not even
Icarus.
close. But
So
he could fly in Super Smash. That's all I know.
But Icarus feels like a character to me that I can be fond of, rather than most myths that feel like allegories or like, you know, just like some guy.
We get the whole like flying too close to the sun thing from Icarus, so I feel like it almost, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I have words in my head and I'm not saying them. I don't know. I feel like that like makes him like not a character but like an idea of just like he's a meme.
Right.
He is a meme.
But he's so culturally relevant that to me it like comes back around.
That's fair. I do like him. He is very cool. You know, let's talk about him. He's Daedalus's son. Does he have a mom? Unclear.
Some lady.
It literally, like, we were on the Daedalus page a couple days ago. Who is his mom? No fucking clue. Yeah, you know, what Icarus does is he flies too close to the goddamn sun because of those wings. So you know, the wings, literally described in the chapter. Daedalus is like, if you fly too high, it'll like melt the wax, and then if you go too low, the water will.
It's like the sea salt spray. It'll spritz it.
Right.
You got too heavy.
I have always found that to be such an interesting detail, because that doesn't come back, you know? He flies too close to the sun, but the sea thing, it's like an unfired Chekhov's gun. Like,
I remember reading a version of this story where first he goes too close to the sea, and then it starts getting bad, and he overcorrects where he goes too close to the sun, so he kind of does both the things he's not supposed to do. But I don't remember which version of that is. I will say the version in this book it's like a little different from the myth in interesting ways to me.
Yeah. I do have thoughts about that too.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
We'll get there.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, like, they're just trying to escape, like, Minos, because they're trapped in the labyrinth. And just poor Icarus is like, I've been trapped in this place, like, my whole goddamn life. I wanna fly. He's a fucking teenager.
Yeah.
What do you think he's gonna do? He flies too close to the sun. He thinks he's, like, immortal. He's a child.
It's the folly
what
of
do you
youth.
expect? But
he's having a good time.
But yeah, I mean, God, is it like an internet thing of like Icarus and like Apollo being a ship? Is that just like in my brain, or is that an internet thing too?
I can see it. I was about to say you might be thinking of Phaethon, and then I realized that no, because Phaethon's Apollo's son.
Yeah. I mean,
but
he did also fall.
His stories has a similar like takeaway where
It
he's
does.
the one that drives the chariot of the sun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As reenacted by our Fae of Thalia.
Yep.
But to way less disastrous effect.
Yeah.
Last book.
Who, you just go into the Camp Half-Blood Lake, and
Yeah.
burn up all of them nymphs.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
poor ladies. But I mean,
Turn it into a hot
There
tub
was
for a
some-
bit, it's fine.
yeah.
The nymphs wanted a hot tub, so really they win.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Yeah, there's not like a whole lot else to the Icarus myth besides like it's about either going too high or, being too complacent.
Right. Which, like, I understand the allegory, but at the same time, thinking of it as a character, it doesn't really work. Like, it's clearly meant to be, like, representative of complacency or hubris. But, like, he's just some kid, and he flew too high. He wasn't trying to get close to the gods or whatever. He was just having a good time. Like, it doesn't quite
I feel like that
work.
might be why it sticks, though. It's because, like, no one has to act out of character for the story to progress the exact same way, which I think is, like, the tragedy of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all of the best Greek myths that stick, it's because, like, these characters are so perfectly flawed, and they do exactly what anybody in their situation would do to disastrous effect.
So even if it symbolizes something greater, at the same time, the story itself is compelling because, yeah, that would happen.
Yeah, like, it just kind of sticks. It's sort of like, I think one of the main reasons why the Iliad is, like, been around so long is, like, Achilles' whole deal where he has to choose between, like, being remembered forever or happiness in his life. Like, that's just, like,
Yeah.
it just hits you hard, and you really... Once you kind of hear the story, you never really stop thinking about it, at least for me.
Yeah, exactly. Some of these things are just, like, bigger than the story. I'm also just, like, noticing something here. One, this thing is like, oh, maybe Icarus, like, thought he was greater than the sun himself or whatever. And that's why Helios, like, did this to him. No, I don't think so. But it does seem interesting that, like, okay, so Daedalus, like, did this whole thing for Pasiphae with the Minotaur and creating all of this for a child of the sun god. Because remember, Pasiphae is a daughter of Helios, right? And then this happens to his son? I'm wondering if this is some weird karma. Is it related? Probably not. These people didn't think that hard about this, but I'm thinking, there's something there.
Yeah.
Where's the retelling where Helios is like, dude, what the fuck did you do?
Why did you
to
make my daughter a
child?
fursuit? I hate you.
Like, why did you do that? I'm gonna fucking kill your son.
Well, it would be a fitting revenge. Sort of. Not really.
Why did you put my grandson in a maze? Look at him. He's so sad.
I don't know. There's something interesting there.
Yeah. There definitely is. Can I to tangent completely? This is nothing,
yeah?
but I
Is it?
I can't ever stop thinking, whenever I think of Icarus, I think of the first volume of Fullmetal Alchemist.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to be much help on that one.
Yeah, I know. I just want to mention, because it's always in my brain,
I know it is.
Edward Elric references the fall of Icarus, and it's a really cool scene. I don't know.
That makes sense based off of, like, the few things that I know about Full Metal Alchemist.
Edward Elric is an atheist, and he also punches God in the face.
That's great.
God,
I love that for
I
him.
love that.
Yeah, it's a good series. That's all.
My brain was just like...
Anyways,
Magnus
anytime I think about Icarus, I see him in my brain, and, like, the low angle, and him being, like, the hero who reached for the sun. Anyways, that's all.
Yeah.
Amazing. Beautiful. I guess my last note on here is that Daedalus apparently went to a temple of Apollo afterwards. And, like, gave him his wings. That's sad.
Yeah.
Poor guy. His son died.
Yeah, I feel like that's also, like, why the story hits so hard, is, like, the fatherly guilt. Like...
Because he made them, and then they killed his son.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing that sticks with you, too.
Also, just the little thing here that's like, in some versions, they escape by ship. Okay. So that means that, like, none of this may have happened at all.
Well, wait, where are you reading? Where on the page
That's
is
like
this?
at the top of the Wikipedia page, like,
Oh.
In some versions of this tale, Daedalus and Icarus escape by ship.
I'm looking at the citations for this one. Dictionary
Pliny
of
the
Classical.
Elder?
Oh! Pliny.
Oh, Pliny.
Oh my god.
Wait. No, I'm thinking of the younger Pliny, actually. Never mind. The younger Pliny is, like, the original travel vlogger. No, sorry, not travel vlogger. He's just the original vlogger. He like, there's a lot of famous Romans that would, like, intend to publish their letters they wrote to their friends. Or, like, edit their letters later in life that they wrote to their friends and, like, publish them in collections, which is why we have, like, tons of letters, from Roman times. But now I want to make sure I'm not mixing up names, but Pliny the Younger was, like, all about that. Like, he was this rich guy, and he just went places, and he went viral because he happened to be at Pompeii.
Oh, that makes sense. God.
Pliny the Elder
What is it?
is the one who's always on the podcast Sawbones, because all of his medical shit is, like, so wrong and bad.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't remember enough about these people.
He wrote that really... No, wait. Yeah, no, he wrote that really boring thing. Okay. It's his nephew, Yeah. The thing with, like, the Romans is that they're just boring sometimes, like, most of the time when they're writing.
Which is why no one is a fan of the Aeneid.
I hate the Aeneid so much. It's just so boring. Like, it's so misogynistic and so boring.
And then it doesn't even really have an ending? Am I wrong about that?
No, it does. The part that, like, to me epitomizes the Aeneid is there's this entire book of the Aeneid that I call in my head that time when Aeneas does everything Odysseus did, but better, in one book instead of, like, 6. And they get to the Cyclops Island in their ships, right? One of the Greeks, Odysseus left behind, comes out, running out, and he's like, "Yo, there's a Cyclops! Don't come here!" And they're like, "Thanks, bro!" and leave. They don't pick him up either, they just leave him there. Like, it's so boring.
I'm dying.
It's like every time they encounter a hardship, the gods show up and are like, "Yo, Aeneas, looks like you were about to have a hard choice to make. Let me help you out."
God.
And it's everything about it sucks. It's not good. The poetry's bad. It's
You know
all
what?
Augustus propaganda. It's just bad.
Yeah, you're right. It is. But you can't complain about Aeneas because he is your brother.
You know, as much as I like hearing people talk about their areas of expertise and things that, like, make them excited, it's more fun to listen to people talk about, like, things that, like, annoy them and piss them off. about, like, they're super niche.
You know,
like,
this connects to my Pliny point, actually, as well, because, like, the reason why a lot of the Roman stuff is super boring is because they decided to... This might be a way too complicated tangent, so... anyway... But the poetry in ancient Greek and Roman literature is written in this thing called meter. Like, English has meter too, like iambic pentameter, for example, like what Shakespeare's in. And like every language kind of has like a meter that suits it, or multiple meters that suit it. And the Romans were like so obsessed with the Iliad and the Odyssey and Greek poetry that they were like, we're gonna use their meter, which is why it's all bad, because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The only one is my boy Ovid. He nailed it.
Nice.
No notes, immaculate. But like, there's plenty of Roman poets that don't use that in the epic meter. But like the epic meter, it's like, don't use dactylic hexameter. Like, it doesn't work. Saturnian shouldn't have died. What have you done? Anyway, so you like find old Latin texts and you're like, oh, wait, this is actually good because it predates like when that happened.
Mm-mm.
And it's why, like, the prose is really good, too, because it's actually good, because they're not trying to fit. It'd be like trying to write, like, in the proper form, like, a sonnet in, like, trying to think of, like, a really bad language to write a sonnet in. It just doesn't work, you know?
I can't understand it, but I can understand it. So, like, I get it.
Just using a lot of, it's fine. I'll just end that segment with dactylic hexameter. I just met her, which is my favorite of those jokes. Anyway.
Now, I'm just gonna talk about the fucking hybrid creature that I did not know was actually ancient Greek. That's in this chapter for no goddamn
Wait, did you know it from something else?
I just like it was in the chapter. I'm just like, did Rick make this up? Like, is this from like a medieval bestiary? What? Like, I was just like, I'm just gonna like Google it like real quick, see if this is anything, and it's something. So it's added to the myth section because it exists as its own thing. So that just makes me very intrigued. So the hippolectron, the horse rooster thing. Yeah. Where it, like, God, it's like a Pegasus, but, like, worse. like if the back half of a Pegasus was actually just, like, a chicken.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm almost positive it's for the dick jokes.
Well, I mean, look at the other name section. Cock horse.
Yeah. Like, I'm almost positive. And it only... I'm looking at it. It comes up in, like, the playwright's works. Like, it comes up in the plays.
Yeah. And its name just means horse rooster. Okay, okay. That's fine. Aristophanes has it. Aristophanes. God damn it. It's one of those names where I just, like, I see it, and I'm like, I know how this is pronounced, but this is how I say it in my brain.
That means you read it, you know.
I'm trying to, like, you know, pronounce the letters. He's like, it's an awkward creature. Well, thank you. This is very descriptive. You're correct. It is a very awkward fucking creature. A warrior riding one. My God, that's gotta be awkward. Did
you see that? What's fun is the oldest known representation apparently is from Knossos. It dates to the 9th century BCE.
All right.
So that's fun. Knossos is like the Crete capital. Although at this time, it wouldn't have... Crete, the Minoans are long gone at this point.
Well, I was going to say, here's our little, like, Crete, like, connection here. Could be an alternate representation of the Pegasus, possibly. It's just looks so weird looking. I want to know how it runs. Like...
It looks like it runs like a rooster. Like on its...
Does it just run on its back legs? Like, what are the front legs for?
I don't know. It's probably both. I will say, roosters, they do, like, run pretty fast.
They do.
True.
You're not wrong. I'm just like, that's like a lot on the front half if you're just gonna run on your back legs.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Horses are heavy.
There's, like, no actual, like, mythology about it. It's just the plays, right? So...
Yeah, I think they just use it as, like, a reference, basically.
Ooh, they were on shields, possibly? Oh,
it's probably apotropaic.
Yeah.
One of my favorite words. Just means it wards off
I
evil.
do love that word, actually. They're a symbol of solar power.
Right.
Because they sing at sunrise that scares demons away. They guide the souls of the dead. Just like winged horses. Okay. I don't know. That's just so interesting.
It's a naval deed? Wait. Sorry, I'm gonna go on a deep dive for a second.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's probably
it
why.
Protects ships? That's just interesting.
Well, it says the reference from Aeschylus is from his series on Achilles, and there's a long page here, but my guess is Achilles is epithet and the Iliad is Tolus, which is swift-footed, so that probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the Myrmidons are like the people of Achilles.
Yeah, I saw Myrmidons in there. I'm just like, Achilles? Hello?
Yeah.
I've never seen that word outside of Fire Emblem before.
The Myrmidons?
Yeah.
They're fun.
Okay, wait. Let me see. Am I crazy? It is one of the songs in the Hades soundtrack, Rage of the Myrmidons.
Nice.
I was in fact just listening to that while reading the chapter. I listen to the Hades soundtrack when I read things, so.
That's valid.
It's a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about these things. I was just like, that's so weird that Rick didn't make them up, or that they're
You think
just,
Rick
like,
would do that? Just go
I
in
don't
his
know.
books and
it's
tell
just
lies?
A weird reference. It's just a random ass thing.
He doesn't make anything. I don't think he makes anything up.
Okay, he made up Zoe Nightshade.
Oh, he made up Zoe Nightshade, but, like, he doesn't make up, like, creatures or beings.
Sometimes he'll put a little spin on him, but generally...
Yeah,
Sure.
he'll do a little... This is the part, though, where I have to be like, is my interpretation of Greek myth based on the Rick Riordan books, or do I just like what he did with them? It's an answer, that's a question we'll never know the answer to.
Sometimes I like what he did, and sometimes I'm like, bro, what? I feel like we can all be like that for at least Medusa.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Is this the, like, crazy... Okay,
I have nothing more to say about these rooster horse things, but I know, Emily, you had something to talk about.
I just really like the Minoans. They're the best. So one thing that's, like, kind of interesting, is, how am I gonna phrase this? So something that to me is really interesting coming back to these books is that, like, having now studied a lot of, like, ancient Bronze Age history and archaeology, like, there's a lot of things that really, like, I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions people have about, like, ancient Greece and the myths that the Minoans are, like, the perfect, like, encapsulation of. Because, like, I feel like a lot of people might not know this, but the people we know of as the ancient Greeks are not indigenous to Greece. And actually, like, the first major civilization that was in the Greek islands, there's a few different, like, groupings, peoples we have grouped together kind of culturally, that significantly predate them. But the one that kind of rose into power was the Minoans, and their civilization was destroyed in, like, 1600 BC, which, for, like, reference, like, Iliad and the Odyssey, we reckon, are written down in, like, 800, 700 BC, so that's, like, a good...
Damn.
Do the math.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, Socrates, for example, it's, like, 400s, right? So, like...
Right.
It's a long time, you know?
Yeah, it is.
And what's really cool about them is we know that they were, like, in contact with the Egyptians, and they were in contact with a lot of the other peoples of the Mediterranean. And we still actually have a lot of, like, their stuff left behind, which is very cool. And something else that's kind of interesting is that the people we know of as the ancient Greeks, like, the first wave of them, we call the Mycenaeans. They came in through mainland Greece, and they migrated in, and they kind of, like, took over the Minoans' position in the Mediterranean trade and kind of, like, copied them for a really long time until the Bronze Age collapse, which was, like, in 1100 BC. So they'd ripped everything off the Minoans, basically.
You know, as you do.
As white people do.
As
you know.
colonizers do.
Yeah, including their alphabet, by the way. Like, Greek originally had a different alphabet called Linear B, that they stole from the Minoans, who wrote Linear A. Archaeologists are really good at naming things, y'all. And, and what's really interesting, though, is that the Minoan civilization was based on Crete, And a lot of the stuff in the like the Theseus and Labyrinth myth is like has a lot of precursors and ties to like the Minoan stuff. So like for example, I think you mentioned like Labrys, like the word is like the double-sided axe. Like that's a huge thing in a lot of the Minoan art we've found. Like that was like a big they think it's like religious or sacrificial purposes, but the thing about archaeology is like there's a mantra of when in doubt it's religious. So that might not be right. People say things. That doesn't mean they're right, you know? But like another big thing was like the palaces on Crete, where we call them palaces because this guy, Sir Arthur Evans, who first excavated them, was like, oh my god, it's a palace. Oh my god, this is where the king totally was. When like, that, no evidence. None. It was just a big building. But a lot of people now think it was, at the very least, an administrative center. And, like, it was, like, basically a huge complex. So you can look up, like, reconstructions of it, because he did excavate several of them throughout Crete. And one of the things that's really interesting about them is they're so big that the hallways and the basements and everything would have felt very labyrinthine.
Yeah.
And what's also kind of interesting is we know for a fact that a lot of these palaces were destroyed by some people. And also we know that the Mycenaeans moved in shortly thereafter. Who's to say what happened there? But it's interesting, like, when you think about where, like, a lot of myths come from, because, you know, Minos, on the one hand, is kind of revered as being a very wise king, and on the other hand is kind of, like, portrayed as a villain. Right. So, you know, are we, basically, it's just kind of interesting to see all of these echoes in it and see, like, that how this might have been, like, a cultural echo as well of, like, this memory of these peoples that came before. And the myth of Atlantis, a lot of people think, is actually also based on the Minoan civilization, because it was really advanced. Like, we know for a fact that they had indoor plumbing, the likes of which that would never be seen again in Europe until, like, the 1800s. Wow. Like, they were very advanced technologically, and we know that they were, part of the reason for their collapse was a really big volcanic eruption on Santorini, so.
Yeah. God, you should listen to our Atlantis episode, for my rant on, whether Atlantis is a myth or not. It's a very fun time.
The cultural memory is there, you know, like, I don't know, it's interesting, but, I feel like I've gone off on a tangent here, but basically it is interesting when you see like all of these like little echoes, and the fact that like in the Rick Riordan verse, like the labyrinth is like this ever growing, ever moving thing always under the surface of everything. And it's kind of like depicted almost as like older too. So it's like, oh, the Minoans, they're still here.
I love that.
You can't pretend they don't exist. And I think it's why, like, a lot of it has kind of also been reclaimed into Greek mythology, but is it? Is it?
Unknown. Unclear. Not really, but, like, it is kind of now.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's just kind of fun as well when people hear a really cool story and they're like, oh, that's a great story. What if it was, like, with my gods?
Yep.
That's, like, every single religion. You've named out all of them.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, there's a bunch of like really fun, cool little echoes, in a lot of this part that I think is really fun, because I think it shows me that there was some research happening.
Wow, Rick be doing research.
I like keeping tabs on him.
As you should. Hold that man accountable.
My goodness.
It's really funny, too, because Annabeth and I are the same person reading this book, because they'll get to a room in the labyrinth, and it'll be a description of it, and I'm like, oh, that's probably Roman. And then Annabeth goes, it's Roman. And I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
There we go. You know you shit.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is maybe I should have picked Athena, but it's fine.
Only basic bitches pick Athena.
I'll have you know I am not like other girls.
All of our many friends who have been Athena kids.
The thing is, like, you know, who are the kids that are picking up this book, you know, we're all Athena kids a little at heart, I think.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm like Annabeth as a child. And then I was also just like, maybe I'm Apollo. And then I'm like, no, I'm just gonna kin Nico, like, so hard.
You're just gonna be goth.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm just...
It's like, what was that SNL sketch? It's like, you have to be sorted into a group. It was like the group hopper. It's one of the best SNL sketches I've ever seen, where it's just like making fun of Maze Runner and Divergent and all of them.
Good.
It's like, you belong in a group. Who are you? The Hasidics?
Oh my god.
The foodies? Which is kind of how this feels, honestly.
Well, let's talk about fucking Percy Jackson.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Yeah,
so Brary's leaves because he's fucking depressed.
Yeah, my man has got some issues.
Like, this is the first time we've been confirmed, like, monsters and, like, immortals fade. Like, it's been mentioned before, Medusa's lost her sisters, Apollo said, like, Helios disappeared, but now it's like, hey guys, like, they, like, disappear. Like, they stop coming back after a while if they just, like, aren't remembered or they lose their will to stay immortal, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think I'd be depressed too. I'm the only one left of my kind, you know? But
yeah, and also you've been in jail for a long time, and that could break anyone's spirit, basically.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah. And they're kind of like the other side of the, like, you know, the Titan War. Like, they've also kind of... There are all these, like, forgotten things that were, like, so important at the beginning of the universe and have kind of been, like, put aside.
Mm.
Yeah, he's just so old. And now he's like, I gotta go. I'm done. I can't fight. You guys have fun. But you could also, like, push me into this pit right here that goes to Tartarus. Bro, I feel like that is a Chekhov's gun that, like, does not go off. The fact that
the
there's
pit to Tartarus?
The pit to Tartarus right here.
Well, that's assuming they could find it again.
Yeah, but, like, I feel like that could have happened in this chapter, that somebody just, like, or something happens with that.
Yeah. Well, as you know.
It's a physical manifestation of his suicidal ideation. And it's
surrounded by waterfalls because he's crying. It's a beautiful metaphor. Also, feel free to cut this, but I was about to make a joke. Like, yeah, you're right. No one falls into Tartarus in this series. Missed opportunity.
I was trying to hold myself back from talking about that, but I'm just like, God, Rick, was this where you got the idea?
Hey, I feel like he had to have the idea in Lightning Thief. He was like, you know what? That's a bell I rung. I put it out in the universe that this is a possibility, and I never did it.
True. Yep. It was a Chekhov's gun from the beginning, and then went off, like, 8 books later. Like, Jesus Christ.
I will say also, like, every time, but the problem is also now, every time I think of Tartarus, I think of, did you all actually, like, see the Lightning Thief musical?
Yes.
I have not watched it.
When they're about to go into Tartarus, it's now, like, imprinted on when he's about to get dragged in. The one night I went to, like, I don't know what it was, but Chris McCarroll's, like, comic timing was on point when he delivered. Because basically it's like, you almost fell into Tartarus! Beat. And then with perfect comic timing, Chris McCarroll just goes, the fish sauce! And I almost peed my pants. Looking down with horror, like, full commit.
Oh my god.
One of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Beautiful.
And I just think of that every time now.
As you should.
I bet. That's gonna be in my brain forever.
I would just like, whoever wrote this, you get it. This is it.
This is peak Percy Jackson comedy.
That is Percy.
100%. All right.
The timing. Chef's kiss. But anyway.
The most important thing in this scene is that we get Tyson Grover bonding moment.
Yeah,
yes.
Like, it took all of Grover's courage to pat Tyson's shoulder. Friendship, maybe?
It's sweet.
Maybe. I also feel bad for Annabeth being like, oh, we're close to Daedalus's workshop. Like, this could change overnight, bro. You're in the labyrinth.
She's doing her best. She needs some kind of semblance of control over her situation.
Okay, but this is something I noticed as well, by the way. This is my tiny little fun thing I noticed reading this book. I didn't even notice this when I reread this for our podcast. But when they sleep for the night, the description of the room is, we settled in a corridor made of huge marble blocks. It looks like it could have been part of a Greek tomb. My favorite part is when Percy knows things that he definitely shouldn't.
He shouldn't. Absolutely not. Percy,
but
when did you learn about Greek tombs?
But what's really interesting is I was like, wait a minute, because I know where this is.
Ooh.
Well, I don't know exactly where this is, but this is a description of, I think, a Tholos tomb, which is like a Bronze Age tomb. And this description matches the one that's like at Mycenae in Greece, like at the place where the Mycenaeans are named after. Like if you Google, and I tested it because I Googled Greek tomb to see what came up on Google Images first.
Amazing.
And it was that exact tomb in Mycenae. But the Minoans also had, they're called Tholos tombs because they have like a rounded top, but they're made of like these huge slabs of stone, and they're really cool. But they're, I was like, wait, are they in Greece right now? I think they might be in Greece.
Thank you, Google, for confirming this.
It's spelled Tholos.
Awesome.
But this means that Annabeth is right, though. That is a very old part of the maze. Might even be a Minoan part of the maze, depending on which Tholos tomb they're in.
Well, will they be there when they wake up?
That's the thing, is like, if my calculations are correct, they start in San Francisco, then they're like maybe go to Greece.
And then
they're in Texas.
Beautiful.
And this whole time they're like, we're on a path, we're going somewhere.
Annabeth has no fucking clue what she's talking about. Like, she says it in the chapter. She's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
I will say I love her, though, and this is, again, why we're the same person, because I, too, would be like, I've solved the architecture puzzle!
You solved nothing!
I connected the dots. You didn't connect shit. I've connected them.
I got this. Like, you fools! You weren't looking at the stones!
So, we're gonna take some rest. Grover's asleep. Tyson is sad. I'm glad that we mourn the shield at least one more time. Because, like, goddamn, I love this fucking shield that Tyson makes for Percy, and it barely gets used in this frickin' series.
It's too powerful. They had to take it out.
They really were just like, you know what? Percy just needs a sword. No shield, nothing else. Like, that's too much.
It ruins his scrappy aesthetic.
I liked it.
I think Percy with a shield is too powerful, though. He's a little. He needs to sweat a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
We have to nerf the boy.
I mean, he can heal himself with water. You know what? He doesn't need a defensive weapon.
I do feel like Percy kind of peaks power-wise, like Titan's Curse this book, and then the whole rest of the series is Rick just being like, okay, let's just take some things away from you.
Let's roll that back a little bit.
Too powerful of this boy. We'll get to that power eventually. My boy.
That's a shield of friendship.
So
a shield of brotherhood. A symbol of the love of his brother. And he can't just keep it for one book. Anyways.
It's just for the aesthetic. He just has it on his back.
I mean, like, I just, like, wanted to imagine, like, Percy wearing, like, a broken watch for, like, forever instead.
Oh, like, and it doesn't even come out
broken.
into a shield anymore, but he's still wearing... Oh my god. My heart.
That's what I
so
like
cute.
to imagine. So, Percy can't sleep, and, Annabeth, like, I have no fucking clue what's going on, but they're reminiscing about times that, like, they also had no idea what they were doing. So... It's no different than any other quest they've been on.
Well, I think Annabeth is, like, she's feeling the pressure. She's the quest leader this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, like, remember, Percy's also been that quest leader, and he never knows what the fuck he's doing.
But Percy is used to that. Annabeth, we've talked about how her fatal flaw is hubris. She thinks that if she's in charge, everything should go perfectly. And the fact that things are not going perfectly is, like, breaking down her image of herself. Like...
Mm-hmm. I relate.
She's
so
having
hard
gifted
to
kid
that.
burnout right now.
Oh, real hard. She has been thrown off the deep end into a situation she feels she should have been prepared for her whole life, and shocker, she has not been. Because
all I've been talking about with my therapist
That's
is how
me in
I feel
college.
like I'm a perfectionist and I have to be perfect at everything. So I understand this.
well, yeah. Because if you're not perfect... No, I was about to say something that's way too real.
Yeah.
No, because Sam's like, because if you're not perfect, why would anyone ever like you?
Exactly.
Just stab me next time.
Yeah, no.
So I love that finally Percy's like, wait, Nico's in the labyrinth.
That is my favorite part of this entire book, by the way, is when he sees the first vision with Nico, and Nico's like, he gets told, like, oh yeah, I gotta get an unclaimed, or what was it? I have to get someone who's cheated death, and Percy wakes up and is like, he's coming for me.
What a... My god, Percy, not everything's about you. Not everything.
A lot of things have been
my
about
God.
him, though. I think he has a little bit of rightful paranoia.
I get it, you're a protagonist, but come on.
It's so funny. Like, every time.
But yeah, so I guess the labyrinth leads down to the underworld, which makes sense. I get it.
I mean, it goes to Tartarus, like...
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's got levels. I wonder if they'll run into Zagreus on the way.
I'm now just picturing, like, Nico finding that pit and, like, doing some kind of feather fall situation where he just, like, jumps in and is like, I'm gonna ball this goth kid style.
He would.
I'm gonna jump into the underworld.
He would. God. So Percy eventually sleeps. And what's his dream about? It's about Icarus. So we gotta talk about this retelling here.
Yes.
This boy believes in his father so damn much. He's like, I believe in anything that you've made. You have to wear these first. You have to have the honor. I believe you. Okay, yes, I've heard this a million times. Whatever. I trust in your invention. We'll do it. It's fine.
Yeah, Rick is really trying to twist the knife on this one.
Like,
Yeah.
this boy is so innocent. No one's ever been
I mean,
as
that
smart
is-
as you, father.
He just loves his dad so much.
So if Icarus' sin is hubris, then it's not hubris for himself, it's hubris for his father. He's saying, your invention is so perfect that surely nothing could get in its way.
Is that hubris?
It's not quite the right word, but that's
There's, like,
what
there's
it's always
something
equated
there.
with.
That's why I use the word folly instead of hubris for him, because it feels like he's just that kind of, he just never has experienced, like, you know, this is the, I think it's like this is the moment, like, when you're a kid, when you first realize, like, oh, I'm not just gonna bounce off the floors if I fall, you know, like, like, bad things can actually happen to me. You know, like the youthful innocence where you just feel like you're indestructible. Like, I feel like that's Icarus's thing. And it just happens to, you know, he doesn't get a boo-boo. He,
Again, he's a teenager, he thinks he's immortal kind of deal.
yeah.
It's that thing of thinking that your parents know everything
Yeah, that too.
before you realize that your parents are fallible people. Like, he's so proud in his father and he trusts in his father so much that, you know.
Yeah. God. I mean, his dad didn't do anything wrong, okay? It would have worked if they'd had, like, a few more minutes. Clearly.
I feel like in this version, though, the issue isn't Icarus's folly. It's, I mean, I think it is in terms of him being so overconfident, but there's a moment where Icarus is insisting that Daedalus gets his wings fastened on first, and, like, we know it's a
Yeah.
factor where having the time to dry is, like, a big thing. And there's a moment where Daedalus decides to put his wings on first, and I feel like that changes this version of the myth for me.
Mhm.
And it makes him feel a lot more guilty, which I think, like, really works for this story.
Mm-hmm.
It gives him a lot more, like, blame, like, over blame. Like, it's not just Icarus not listening to his instructions anymore. Like, there's more to it than that.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm also just like, this poor man is like trying to do this like and he's been worked to the bone already, and then now there's like a time crunch like suddenly because the guards are coming, and he's only got so much time to like put his son's wings on.
Yeah.
He's also, I think, going a little overkill because I'm pretty sure he's trying to rob Minos in this scene too. Because these wings are made of bronze.
I mean,
that's expensive.
I assume it's celestial bronze for like the Rick Riordan, you know, it's gotta be bronze because everything is bronze in this world if it's magic, you know?
Interesting. Then it's
that's
arguably worth more.
You're right.
Because here's the thing is like, you know, bronze is really hard to work, and during this time period, getting that much bronze, that'd be like a couple ingots worth of bronze. You could probably sell that for quite a bit when you land.
Correct. Or he could melt it down and make some cool weapons or other stuff now.
Make some more cool stuff.
You know, you never know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just thinking like it's gotta be magical celestial bronze because otherwise that wouldn't work. They won't fly.
I feel I think part of it is like that's how you're supposed to be more impressed because they're metal wings. But you know, airplanes exist, so
I should have mentioned when we talked about the myth, but I think they're supposed to just be feathers, like actual feathers.
Yes,
in the myth, and I think like they're metal actually, but that's got to be because it's a Rick Riordanism. It's celestial bronze, you know, the thing that everything magic is made of.
I mean, he's got that bronze aesthetic.
Yeah, you know.
Also, those wings have got to be so uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the sun heats them. Like, if they're hammering them that thin, they're gonna cut you. Oof.
Yeah. Also, the hot wax dripped on Icarus's shoulder. That poor boy.
I feel like all of this could be a kink.
Oh. Right?
I tried to think of anything to follow that, and I was just...
I mean, they are strapping them on.
God!
It's a harness. There's wax.
I'm deceased.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad. That's so bad, actually, because it's a father and son. I didn't even think that through. I was thinking about someone else wearing them.
Well...
Sorry, it's a leather harness, just to be clear.
Oh my god!
We have to get out of this. We have to get out of here. So Minos shows up. He thinks they look like metal chickens. Haha.
Yeah.
And then he's blaming Daedalus for everything bad that's ever happened to him, which it literally, we'll talk about him and how everything is actually his own fault. So, eventually. But goddamn, this man, I hate him.
Yeah, this Minos is definitely,
yeah.
He's kind of, nope, never mind, lost the thought.
So they escape, they're out, and then, you know, the thing happens. Icarus like, I trust you, Dad! Dies. Promptly gone. Goodbye. Percy, of course, does not mention his dream. What?
That would be sharing.
Sharing's caring.
He doesn't share.
No, he doesn't. Correct.
Yeah, okay, I'm, like, reading this over, and, like, he doesn't even fly towards the sun in this one. It is the waves in this version. He flies too low, and then, he can't hear his dad when he's telling him to glide. Yeah, there is no sun in this version. It's just that the wax didn't set properly, and he flew too low for a little bit.
Well...
That's interesting. Percy wakes feeling like he's falling.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever get that? I don't ever get that thing.
I've had those dreams.
I used to get that all the time. I had this one recurring... There was one time I dreamt I was riding a pterodactyl. Don't ask me why. And I woke up with my arms, like, both extended like this. Like, I was sleeping on my back. Like, I was holding onto the harness. Oh, you know why? I watched the movie Dinotopia. That's
yes!
what happened.
Good! Thank you. I feel validation.
Oh, man. Well, the movie or the TV show? Because I got into a ferocious argument with a friend of mine once over which was better.
We're talking about, like, the 4-hour, like, miniseries film. Yes?
Yeah. Yes. The one with the guy from Prison Break.
Yes. My
so I got into a huge argument with a friend of mine in college where my friend had, like, watched the TV show first, where they, like, recast everybody, and, like, it was a whole thing, and I'd watched the movie first.
Seen anything else. I've only seen that because I would watch it on like 4-hour car rides to Maine to visit family. So
Yeah. My brothers and I used to watch it all the time. And I got into a huge argument, though, because my friend was like, the movie was bad. The TV show was good. And I was like, no, you have it reversed, my friend. And then we watched the movie, and I was like, okay, I might be wrong.
I mean, I haven't seen the TV show, so I can't say if that's good or bad or not. I just know that the movie was my childhood.
I mean, yeah. Like, the writing holds up for a kid's movie, I will say. It's just the acting is awful.
No.
You know what? From what I can remember, the acting wasn't great. But
Like, try rewatching it sometime. It's still great. But
I have to rewatch it and also see if that CGI is interesting.
oh, that definitely doesn't hold up either.
No.
But we love it. It's a great classic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Percy Jackson. God, we definitely lost the call because it was like, no more tangents. That's why.
I'm like 10 tangents on a trench coat. Like, that's just who I am.
That's fine.
And they're
So
all
am
about
I.
the Minoans.
See, at least your tangents are vaguely on topic. I'll start talking about Fullmetal Alchemist again if you challenge me. Anyways, so Percy wakes with a start and hears Daedalus crying out for his son as he plummets to the sea. Icarus, his only joy.
God. That's so sad.
Anyways, and then
so
it's
guess
morning.
what?
Woo!
They're in a different place. Did you see that coming? I definitely didn't see that coming. They're in a different place than when they fell asleep.
This is just like the Badger Moles in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Have we not made a secret tunnel reference?
My
Does
God,
anyone
have
have
we
a
not?
guitar?
I mean, I do,
Mine's downstairs, but
I got a guitar.
Okay,
and
wait, that's
ukulele over
perfect.
there.
You both, come on, you can make the chords.
secret tunnel. All right.
Why did they do this when Alex and Zach were here? They have an Avatar podcast.
God.
That is on them, honestly.
It's because we weren't in the labyrinth yet.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're literally in a fucking secret tunnel. And I love this, that Percy notices the freaking Happy Meals, that Nico is
Yeah.
here. I see his McDonald's scraps. I know who it was.
I also love that underworld ritual. It's just like so perfectly modernized from mythology.
It's wonderful.
You ever just like throw some Cokes and some McNuggets into a grave and summon the dead? Yeah.
All the time. That's what I call it Friday night.
Same.
You know, we've always been doing that in this series when you think, like, the very first, meal at Camp Half-Blood when you're scraping some ribs into the offering fire.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Yeah. It's modernizing the things. It's very good. So Percy is just like, Nico's here. Gotta go. What the fuck? Like, the hell? I get it. You feel like you owe this child something. But
Yeah.
also, dude, you could lose them. Like,
Oh my God, that would be
Imagine
so
if-
bad.
imagine if they'd gotten separated and he was alone.
But then, like, imagine Percy Jackson thinking things through. Just
Correct. It doesn't happen. So we meet the red cows.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I just thought of the Griffin McElroy meme where he's like, I abandoned my boy, and he's like running through the dark in the woods. That's what's happening here. Percy's like,
You're not
I
wrong.
abandoned my boy, and then he starts sprinting. And
Yeah, that's Percy.
Continue.
Wait, is it? I'm trying to remember what that one's from. Which arc is that?
Oh no, it's not even in Taz.
Oh,
it's in
never
their
mind.
TV show.
Okay.
With
no,
the clown box.
Never mind.
So these freaking red cows, I mean, I didn't want to do a myth section on them, but like, these are the cows that Hermes stole.
Yeah.
That's what these are. Guys, love that. I love that there's just so many like little references in this chapter, actually. There's
a lot of
many
cows
little
in Greek
references.
myth when you think about it.
There are.
Yeah.
So Grover is upset, but they get through there. Tyson just like breaks the gates and they're in a ranch. It's fine. And there's the dog.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Two-headed dog.
just 2 heads. Not like Cerberus. We don't have a 3-headed dog, and I don't know. I just think it's weird. Why just a 2-headed dog?
We get the dog's name. Is that
Orthrus. I will go into
It's Orthus. Orthrus is the mountain.
Orthus. Jesus. These names. I hate it. Yeah, I'll go into him next chapter just because there's so much.
Yeah. I figured we were going to talk about the ranch people next time.
Yeah. Okay. How do you guys pronounce the man's name? I have a way of pronouncing it, but I don't know if it's correct. So
let me
because my
look up
brain
what it's
wants to
supposed to
say
be.
Euretian. But I've heard differently. I don't know.
My brain is going like Eurytion?
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so the emphasis is on the I. So it's... Well... Okay, there's a few different ways you could pronounce it. Because it's this thing where, like, the upsilon in ancient Greek is like a U, but in modern Greek you pronounce it like a Y, and it's usually transliterated as a Y, except... So they're both... Okay, so the super ancient Greek way you could say it is erution.
Okay.
But the Americanization version of that is Eurytion. So the accent's on the I. Eurytion.
Okay.
I pronounce it like Eurytion.
Yeah, again, my brain goes Euretian.
If you want a really fun
fully,
one,
like Tion shun.
looking him up, he's you're gonna have a fun time next time because he is the king of Phthia. Phth.
Oh no, I already looked him up. He doesn't even this guy specifically has no page.
Really?
Yeah, the one you're thinking of is a different guy.
What? Oh, we'll get into it, I'm sure. Wild though.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a hot date. This is a hot debate for next time.
Yeah, I looked it up for like 5 minutes before, and I'm like, what's happening?
Oh wow. It appears that there's just a lot of people with his name.
There are a lot of people, and this cattle rustler guy is just him, and he's not important. So, the fact that Annabeth introduces them all, like, I'm Annabeth, daughter of Athena. This is Percy, son of Poseidon. This is Grover, he's a satyr. This is Tyson, he's a cyclops. Bro, why are we introducing the party like this? I don't know.
Seems like the proper way to do things, and I'm down.
It's the most, like, formal, like, introduction we've done. I feel like we weren't even like that with Braries. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, like, it's clearly an establishment. He's a half-blood. Maybe she feels like, yeah, he knows what's up. He knows what a quest is.
She's like,
I'm just following the proper procedure.
Yeah, exactly. You run into, like, an official-looking adult.
Yeah.
Here's an old dude with a weird dog. Clearly, he knows what's up.
Meanwhile, Percy's like, Nico? Did you say Nico? Have you seen Nico?
Have you seen my son? I'm looking for my son. I'm afraid to say his name now. Eurydice. He wants them to leave. He's like, just get back in the maze before it's too late. Just turn around. But if you want to come in, you're gonna regret it, basically. They're not officially hostages, but like they are. Because they consented to going in. I guess, did they consent to being hostages?
It was that or leave. So basically, yes.
I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, they're warned, and they're like, well,
Yeah.
Only way out is through.
So, we got a lot of weird animals here. Fire-breathing horses, whatever. Annabeth talking about architecture. Out of the blue.
Well, Annabeth talks about architecture. Percy talks about horses.
She is following... I'm going to stand by what I said before. She's following the architectural clues.
You're not wrong. That's what she does. All she wants to do. God, I'm now just realizing, like, this is the first time we've been in Texas in this series, and this is where Rick's from.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what he wanted to represent his home.
We're in classic Rick territory here.
Yeah. We got that.
Where is, my guy, Tres Navarre?
When will he appear?
Emily, do you know about Rick's, mystery novels?
I know they exist. I haven't read them.
They're deeply, deeply Texan.
We read the first one for a bonus episode on our Patreon. My goodness.
Everyone hates it except me. I think it kind of slaps. No more questions.
It's so Texan. Like, Big Red Tequila is the first one.
Oh.
Yeah. I have no other thoughts.
I love this little moment of dialogue here. We raise animals for lots of clients. Apollo, Diomedes, and ... others. Like who? No more questions.
Well, okay.
I love that Diomedes is, like, still around. Love that guy.
Which Diomedes? We'll learn maybe later.
Diomedes is my fave. He is...
Okay, but which fave? Which Diomedes are we talking about here again?
Isn't there only one? The alien guy.
So there's the guy who has the horses, and then there's the
there
guy
are two different people
that you're thinking of from the Iliad. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people with the same fucking name in mythology.
There's their regular mythology people, and then there's their knockoff copies who work on ranches.
That
anyway.
too. You're not wrong. Okay, so we can't talk about this guy everything. We can't. Just don't talk about it. Okay. I'm just now thinking I don't want to spoil a thing, but I'm also just like, this is the first time Rick does, this character has outfit looks like a stoplight with the green, yellow, and red. And if you've read Trials of Apollo, you'll know who I'm talking about, who also has a similar outfit.
Sounds exciting.
It's
Why,
color
Rick?
blocking. It's top tier.
How does he put those shirts
It's fashion.
on?
Yeah, it sure is fashion. Percy.
The thing is, it's like, do you want to know, or do you, like, because, I mean, the only other book I know where they, like, covered that was, like, In a Court of Mist and Fury, and, like, I still, they answered the question of how do you put on shirts with wings, and I didn't want that answer. I didn't need that answer.
I don't want to know how he puts on shirts.
Hey, I just noticed why it's called the Triple G Ranch. It's because his name starts with a G and he has 3 bodies. I didn't get that until just now.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I just love how Percy's like, hi, nice chest, ranch.
It's not even close, Percy. You can't play that one off.
Bro, literally, it's the ADHD. Like, first thing on his brain. Oh my God.
Honestly, that one's on Eurydion for telling him, like, warning him ahead of time. Because I feel like he wouldn't have been, like, don't look at him.
Yeah, it's ADHD. It's ADHD brain trying not to think about purple elephants. Like, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nico is in fact here. He's talking with Garyon. There's just like so much happening in this scene because there's so many characters. But Garyon calls them monster friends. Grover is upset. And Tyson, that man is wearing 3 shorts. I can't just quote this chapter, but god damn, there's so many good lines.
I love Rick's, like, deadpan dialogue. It's so good.
Yeah.
I think it's just, like, that thing, too, where, it's really hard to write, like, the more characters you add to a scene, it just gets harder and harder and harder to write dialogue, and he just solved that by being like, one-liner, 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 one-liner.
It's so good.
The Avengers wish they had what Rick has.
You're not wrong. And Nico is, of course, his angsty self. Like, you caused Bianca's death. And Percy can't even say her name. But more importantly, how does Garyon know who the fuck they are? Why does he know things?
I make it my business to keep informed, darling. He shouldn't call her darling. I'm offended.
You should be. But it's Texas. So it's got that southern hospitality, So he takes them around the ranch just for a tour, I guess. Why?
I mean, it'd be rude if you didn't. You might kill him after, but you gotta show him around.
Just gotta show you all of my stuff, and this is where we see the weirdest animals. Thank you. Rooster ponies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they mentioned the eggs. In our myth section, I don't think they had golden eggs, but that's very cool.
Is that a basilisk thing, too?
I don't know if they have golden eggs. I feel like this is just straight out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but... soon Percy will own the ranch.
Okay. I'm still thinking about why he's giving them a tour, and I feel like it is Southern hospitality as a form of control. Like, yeah, it's you're on my property, so I'm in charge of your time. You do what I want you to do. Everybody, it's...
I mean, that's also like a big thing in like Greek stuff too, like the whole like guest host relations and such.
Right.
So yeah, you have to be like hospitable until you're not.
Hey, have you guys ever seen... I'll have to see if I can find this for you. There's this guy who gives, like, the speech... I think it's the Marcus Aurelius speech. I don't actually know anything about anything, though. After Caesar's death in, like, the Shakespeare version.
Antony.
Mark Antony. God, I should know that. And anyways, but he gives it in, like, a really strong Southern accent. And it hits so hard.
Shakespeare
it feels
is
like the
meant for
cadence
Southern
is
accents.
perfect.
Like,
Well, do you know
that's a
why?
thing.
There was an explanation under the post. So, but please, give it to me.
So the English accent as we know it, that wasn't what it was. It's like a linguistic thing where innovation happens at the center. So a lot of like older relics of languages and dialects and stuff like are at the edges of where people speak it. So like the Southern accent, that is like the original British. That's like what Shakespeare's British accent would have sounded like.
Which is amazing. It's wonderful.
I love it so much.
And it's like you learn that and then you go back to Shakespeare and you're reading it and you're like, yeah, there it is. That's the stuff.
I want to hear all of it with the Southern drawl.
I tried that one time in high school, but my Southern drawl is shameful. Like, I'm not going to put that on the internet. Like, it's not good.
I feel like I should have one. I was born in Texas, and yet, like, I tried earlier, and it was pitiful. Truly awful.
See if I can...
You're a fake Texan, didn't you know? Also the fact that they, like, cook the freaking sacred cattle, and it's like, oh, Apollo doesn't notice or care, like, it's fine, whatever. I mean, I guess he stopped caring about them after that whole thing with Hermes, so...
The thing is, aren't there a couple myths where people eat the prized cattle? Like Odyssey, I think they did in the Iliad, too.
God,
and they get in big trouble. Like, that is a thing. Like, I feel like that's almost a trope, like, honestly. It happens more than once.
It definitely does.
I love it, though. It's like the capitalist ranch.
Literally. That's what it is. Okay, so they ask about Quintus. Garen's like, oh, is this guy exact description? Never heard of him. Dude, you're so sus. Like, we know it, but we can't say anything because you're holding us hostage. Okay, I just need to talk about this one line. There's a poop blizzard. Because, goddamn, these horses are just in their own shit.
Real bad.
Disgusting.
My question is, has it been cleaned since Hercules last did it?
Well, it was cleaned last, like, 1,000 years ago, they said, so probably, I'm gonna say,
This was interesting. Let me come up with a headcanon real quick.
You do that.
1,000 years ago.
What demigod existed 1,000 years ago?
All I got is William the Conqueror. This book came out in, like, 2008? So 1008.
Yeah. Who's his godly parent?
It was King Arthur, actually. No, that's too early. That's really early.
Yeah, that's like 500.
Ooh, does King Arthur exist in the Riordan verse?
Don't start me on a King Arthur tangent. We will be here for the next week.
We ain't got the time, boys.
We ain't got the time for this shit. Okay, so these horses are great at birthday parties? Why are they renting out
sir,
these
what does that
flesh-eating
mean?
horses? I have so many questions about that. Also, I want to know how Garyon shrugs. Because Percy says it happens. He's got 3 sets of shoulders. How?
It looked like he was doing the wave all by himself.
Like, I want to see it physically.
Everyone, it's like those pictures you see of, like, how do centaurs wear pants.
The answer is they don't. They ain't got time for that shit. Although I do like to imagine that Chiron has footy pajamas. Absolutely. So
actually, I want to change my answer. 1007, they'd still be at the Byzantine Empire. No idea who it was, but good luck. Them.
All right. Listeners, please give us your ideas on who it was that cleaned the stables.
I don't know the heavy hitters of the Byzantine lore as much as I want to.
Okay, we gotta get to the big thing here, because we finally know who the ghost is. Like, this is kind of important. I didn't realize it was in this chapter that we learned that. I thought it was way later, actually.
Yeah, it feels like a weird time almost to drop this.
Yeah, so he only appears in, like, the nighttime. Like the fact that, like, that's said, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's like, it's Minos. I swear it wasn't gonna happen, like, the next line. Because, like, the fact that he can't form in broad daylight makes me think, like, oh, he doesn't want people knowing who he is. But then it's
my
like,
question, though.
You reveal who he is.
Yeah, like, Garyon clearly knows this guy.
Yeah.
What's the backstory here?
I don't recall a backstory between these two, specifically.
Like, did they go to college together? Like, what?
I don't know of any connections between them mythologically. Off the
I feel
top
like
of
it's
my
like,
head.
oh, we were all in the mythoverse. We know each other.
Well, wait. Garyon's grandfather is Poseidon. So, and Minos hates Poseidon. There you go. There's the connection that I can think of.
Okay.
Because Poseidon caused all the shit with the bull.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the fact that Percy's, like, immediately like, that's an evil guy. Why are you letting him give you advice? Nico, don't do that. That's bad. Also, Garyon, stopping calling him Mr. D'Angelo and being like, can I call you Nico? Is that cool? Cool.
The fact that Nico says no, and then he says, you see, Nico.
You see, Nico, I'm gonna sell you. Because you have a secret, you're a son of Hades, that's important. Cool.
Okay, so during the tour, Annabeth is like, now that I've seen all your shit, I know what you're doing. You're selling to Luke and his army. And he's like, I sell to everybody. And then he's like, I'm gonna sell you to Luke. It is a power play. It's I am in control of you. Also, I'm threatening you. I'm showing you how much I'm in charge of. It's I don't know, because he's not trying to hide it. He's very confident in his status here.
You know,
I don't know.
He's an evil capitalist. That's all we need to know.
Yeah, exactly. An evil Southern capitalist. This all feels very Texas. Once again.
Rick.
He's on his property. He is the king of his domain.
Yeah, he's like, if you're on my property, I can legally shoot you.
Yeah. We also get the reference of what the sword is made of. Stygian iron. Yeah. Very cool. We have a new magic metal, possibly. Stygian as in, like, the river Styx. Oh,
I think so.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So Percy's like, hey, don't kill my friends. I will do a Herculean task, literally. So he's gonna scoop poop.
Yeah.
And his friends are hostages. He has till sunset. Goddamn.
I love that this is, like, there's no hesitation here. Like, Percy's not even trying to get out of it. He's like, I got this.
Very Percy of him. Just all confidence, no thought.
There are literally no thoughts. Like, if you look through the pages, like, it's just all of these people are talking and he's just responding. He doesn't even have dialogue tags.
He's just going.
Yeah. No thoughts in his head. He's like, this is fine. So I feel like after a certain point, like, pardon the joke, but, like, you know, this isn't his first rodeo.
It's so much. And
Can you imagine
chapter,
if they'd done a rodeo?
This chapter is just, like, burned in my brain now. There's just, I don't know, the ranch is, like, such a, like, a vibe from this book.
It is.
It's something I cannot ever have forgotten. My goodness.
Yeah,
but we
that's
finished
a good
the chapter. Finally, after this has been such a long trek. Thank you for joining us on this ride.
I feel like part of that has to be my fault.
I mean... We had difficulties, technical, and someone forgetting to read the chapter. We're having a great night here. This has been so fun. So we'll get into our plugs. Emily, where can people find you on the internet if you'd like to be found?
Well, let's see. You can find my podcast, which is Monster Donut, which, let me try that again. You can find my podcast, Monster Donut, at PJOPod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can also email us at Monster Donut Podcast if you so desire. And you should definitely check us out. My co-host Phoebe posts some really great art from all of the stuff we talk about each episode.
It's so beautiful. Like,
I know.
Like, literally.
She's so good.
Also, I as soon as I saw that your handle was PGO Pod, I'm like, this is such a power move.
You know, no one took it. It was right there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wow, they did the thing. Just Percy Jackson podcasters. Wow.
Listen. Yeah, super fun. We do kind of book by we do one episode a book and kind of do deep dives on everything and look at it from like a literary and historical perspective. So if you liked hearing me talk about classic stuff, I do that a lot. And me personally, you can follow me on Twitter at 9EmilyLime9. It's the number 9, and then it's a palindrome that I made in high school. So
it'll be linked in the show notes.
But yeah, this has been super fun.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to do media plugs? If we have time now.
We'll be fast.
Oh
right.
yeah. Oh,
right.
I was supposed to come up with this, huh?
You got anything you've been consuming lately that you've been enjoying?
Ooh. I've been okay, someone else go first.
What have I been consuming that's new? Ray, go.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
I've been watching Ghosts on the BBC.
Hell fucking
yeah.
Hell yeah. What a good show.
You want the BBC version, not the, what is it, NBC that did the American version?
Okay, I'm sorry. I changed my mind. You're wrong. My plug is going to be the American version.
What? No, man. I thought it was really bad. I watched the first episode and I was like,
love it.
This is
it
a
so
cheap
much.
knockoff of my beloved my beloved
were
babies.
Talking about it in the server like yesterday, and we're
Oh
like,
my God.
the American version rocks.
I think you're wrong.
Well, listeners,
You're
you can
entitled to
judge
your
of that.
opinion, however. But the captain is my little guy, my special man, my handsome little Blorbo. He is the worst and the best, and I love him and his little mustache. And the American guy, I felt nothing. I was like, who is this man? A cheap imitation.
He's just, a gay revolutionary man. I assume that's the one we're talking about. And then I love his backstory that he was just like looking at like a dude from the other side, one of the Brits, and he's like, damn, he's so hot. But he's like looking through like a gun.
Oh my God.
And then he actually shoots the man.
Oh
anyway,
my God.
They're ghosts together like in the same house now.
Because he killed
him? This man. But also they're both gay.
That's
so
incredible.
So things happen.
That's wild.
Because he killed this man and then he died of dysentery shortly after.
Right.
And in Ghosts verse, you have to stay on the property where you died.
Yes. Oh my God. I just saw an episode where there was a car ghost and it's like she has to go wherever the car goes.
Oh no.
So they thought about like maybe buying the car so that she could hang out with people for a while. And then she's like, nah, I just like the open road.
Aw.
Anyway, watch
wild.
Ghost, people. It's just so wild.
Have you
Whichever
seen the
version you
BBC
want.
version, Charlie, or just the American version?
I like the American version. That's my
But
plug
have
is
you
the
watched
American version.
I'm just asking.
Your plug is the British version.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
No, that's fine. I'm just wondering if
I'm-
you've seen it.
I'm not over like seeing a guy that's hot and accidentally shooting.
He was supposed to shoot him.
Yeah.
I think he's fine.
Like,
He actually murdered
wow. Talk about a meet cute, man. Like,
Yeah, like, it's literally so good. Listen, all of these ghosts have, like, those kinds of backstories. There's a guy who can't... He's not wearing pants. There's a whole story on why he's not wearing pants. and he never can put pants on because he's a fucking ghost.
Yeah, they can't change their clothes.
Wow.
There's so much. There's so much. Anyway, I like the American version because it has Rose McIver, and I'm obsessed with her. So.
Oh, I know what I'm saying. Okay.
Okay,
You got
go
something?
for it.
I'm just really
We can't
excited
keep
about.
talking, or else we'll just go.
I'm really excited about Shadow and Bone season 2. That's coming out soon.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
That'll be fun.
I'm trying to watch season 1 because I'm gonna be in New York in a couple days, and I'll be staying with Erica from Seaweed Brain. She's like, I'm gonna immediately put on season 2 when it comes out. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I have to watch the first season apparently, so know what the heck's going on.
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed season 1, although I'm like, I we'll see how season 2 goes. They made some decisions that I'm interested why, and a little scared.
I don't know the source material, so it's interesting.
They like deviated from their announced plan of like which book was going to get covered in which season,
Oh, okay.
and so I'm on the surface it doesn't look like a good decision, but I hope it was.
Okay. Thoughts and feelings.
That's I think as much as I can say without spoiling anything. But those who know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a hit or miss when you're adapting things from books to other media. Look at those Percy Jackson movies, am I right?
Haha.
Those movies I think were like one of the low points of my childhood.
I saw them in theaters 5 times.
Like
I was obsessed, but I was like, this is a fan fiction. That was my brain. This is a fan fiction, I can accept it.
There's actually no. The worst movie, Greek mythology adjacent, that I've ever seen is Immortals. But it's also, parts of it are great, but most of it is, like, it makes no sense, even within its own inner logic. And it's so funny. Have you ever seen it?
No. I think Greek mythology movies are probably a lot of hit or miss.
I call them like cocktail shaker movies, so it's like they feed in a bunch of different Greek mythology elements, like a name, like a storyline, or like a character, or like a god. And they shake it up and pour out half of them, and then they're like, that's a movie.
Yeah, they don't try.
And you're watching it and you're like, that's like this movie, it's Henry Cavill as Theseus, right? And the fight choreography is amazing and the cinematography is great. Like I saw an interview with the director where he was like, I want to make every shot in this movie look like a Baroque painting. And he succeeded. It's beautiful. But like he's Theseus, right? And there's one scene in that entire movie where there's kind of a minotaur and it's kind of a labyrinth. And it is you know what? Here's how I can sum it up, actually. This is one of the actual lines of dialogue in this movie. We need to go somewhere safe. Head to Mount Tartarus.
Oh, dear God. All right. Charlie, release us from this mortal coil, please. I can't hear anymore.
Dialogue from this movie. It's incredible. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Y'all, get out of my fucking cabin. I'm being held hostage at a demon dude ranch. I don't know. I need to escape.
The G stands for great, good golly gosh. I don't know.
Stands for great. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Hello, listeners! Editing Charlie here with a patron shoutout. If y'all didn't know, our $10 and up patrons now get a shoutout on the pod. So now, I get to shout out our lovely God Complex level patron, Matt. Matt is so wonderful and has been a supporter since we started the OTAG Patreon. Thank you so much for all your support, bud.
Now I'm really curious if the slang for penis is the same in Greek as it is in English.
Oh god, that's gonna be our out.
Dave X Media.